My wife at the time and I met going into our sophomore year of high school when we were both 15. We were the couple everyone wanted to be and hated at the same time. Prom king and queen, athletics, good grades, never in a group of the popular kids. We just made friends with all the stereotypes, even the hardcore. All black clothing wearing people who never smiled, but were actually very intelligent. Sure, we broke up a couple of times to get some things out of our systems, but we always came back to one another. This puppy love lasted for years. Finally, college came and we went to separate colleges about 40 minutes apart. After freshman year, she broke up with me and I knew she was dating an old nemesis of mine. But they didn't last long, ... It was all lust. In last semester, she ended up flunking out of college and I got my degree. I was upset with her but never said anything because of her mom dying of Huntington's disease. She had just a couple of years left, it seemed at the time. If you don't know what that is, look it up. No one, not even your worst enemy, should have to go through that process. Anyways, I asked her to marry me and she said yes. 6 months before we got married, she started to act weird. I just started my own business, risking everything I had to take a risk and provide a good life for us. However, I just knew something was up with her. I know this woman inside and out. Her pussy started feeling a little loose. She was attached to her phone all the time, and not picking up the phone when I called. One day I got a call from her lust fling, I guess you'd call it, while I was working in the field. He told me he has been having sex with my fiancé. He said he was sorry and she wouldn't leave me for him. He just thought I should know. Not one chance did I believe him and hung up the phone. A couple of weeks go by and she starts acting different. Her vagina was feeling, I don't know, loose. She was constantly hooked to her phone, etc. etc. I had the urge to go by her old fling's home while working in the area. I called myself crazy. No way, but I still went, just to make sure. When I turned onto his street, I saw her car in the driveway. My heart sank. I was devastated. A woman that I thought could never do this sank me. I knocked on the door and looked through the glass. They both came out of the room at the top of the stairs. Her face was red and I could tell she looked sick to her stomach. Her father was a preacher. She knew I could ruin her world around her, but I just couldn't. I was brought up to do what most people don't have the strength to do in the hardest situations. I was furious at first, but forgave her after my temper cooled down. We ended up getting married. I worked my ass off and got a new Fortune 500 partner that I didn't think I had a chance of getting. We moved 3 hours away and still visited our families every weekend. Money finally started to come in, but my wife started to stay one extra day and she would end up taking one of her parents' cars back home where we lived. She started to become attached to her phone. I thought she was cheating again. My mind would race, my jaw felt stiff, and my stomach felt like it was twisting in a million directions. Then she hit me. I had a choice to make. Give up my business and move in my in-laws to take care of her mom, or keep the business and get a divorce. Because of how I was raised, goddammit, I knew what my answer was immediately. I told her family comes first. The look on her face was stunned. I missed it, though, thinking it was shock of happiness or something idiotic. Now I realized she was counting on me staying. She wasn't in love with me. I give up the business that was just now taking off. Move in my in-laws. The smell of death is all around their home. Her mom has the mind of a 2-year-old. Looks like a skeleton. It was horrible. After the first year, my wife is miserable. I'm miserable. I fucking at a dead-end job, but always stayed by her side. She started again with the fucking phone thing again. She starts being a caregiver for a Down syndrome young boy and his rich parents, and even stays the night there when they are not home and traveling on leisure or business. These stayovers happen more frequently over time. I always thought that she would never hurt me again like she did before. How could she? Could someone be that cold to hurt someone who sacrificed their life with full loyalty and dedication? That fucking gut feeling started to come back. Then she called me and said she was staying the night there again, ... It was weird timing on her phone call, and her voice was just off. I took an Adderall. I rarely take them. My ADD is novice at best. I stay up late to log into her accounts to see if there is anything that would stop my gut from screaming at me. She kept her passwords in her notebook under the bed. After my first attempt, the password didn't work for her email. I knew something was up. Secret question, here we go. Once I logged in, the email that caught my eye was a reservation for the Marriott in a city 2 hours away. I gained access into her cell phone records and saw one number that didn't add up. And it was a lot. It was a number 3 states over. I printed the reservation, emailed my boss at 4 a.m. that I was sick, and took off. The entire way to the hotel, I was thinking of how I should handle this. Should I just end it and go ape shit and destroy that piece of shit fucking my wife that I've given all of myself for? Does he even know I exist? Fuck it. I'll just blare some Lynyrd Skynyrd. Freebird. When I arrive, I go to the front desk and I tell them I'm meeting my best man and my wife here for our engagement photo session tomorrow. And because it was so early, they didn't call to check on my story after I showed them the printed reservation and ID. I grabbed a cup of coffee, put it into the microwave to make sure it was boiling hot, got my key, and went to the third floor. I thought about prison and decided to not be Big John's bitch and put the coffee down. I got out my phone and turned the video camera on. I'm going to bring the world around her down on her head. I opened the door and saw them both laying in bed. He WS just in boxers. She was fully clothed. He raised his head and said, WTF? I turned my video camera off and got what I needed. I took his fucking $4,000 Apple laptop and broke it in 03. 4 pieces on the carpet. I don't remember much after that, other than the dude obviously realizing this cunt is taken and sprinting out of the room. I turned into a wild fucking bastard. My voice sounded like a demon, my ex's words before divorce court. Cops came, did nothing. Told the dude to do his research before skacking up with a woman across the country. He asked about his computer and said he wanted to press charges. The cops laughed and I walked out of the lobby, letting everyone know that the blonde crying is a skank whore. I drove back to the in-laws and showed them the video. Then I drove to her grandparents, uncles, aunts, etc., etc. If I didn't sacrifice so much for her, I would have never ruined her reputation. But I just couldn't let someone so selfish walk away clean. I had to really put myself in that situation to remember to exact story. I apologize if I went on and on. It's been 3 years since this happened. I am remarried, have a 6-month-old baby that is awesome, bought my first home on 3.5 acres, and am able to provide for a stay-at-home happy wife. I'm telling you this because I never really understood the following phrase until now. It's not how you got knocked down, but it's how you get back up that matters. I remember driving home from that Marriott for 2 hours with the biggest smile on my face. I knew only bright days are ahead. I am the only one in control of my life now. No matter what has happened, kids or no kids, house or no house, you are now in control, men. I am 100% living proof that the greatest revenge is living happy. My ex still to this calls me every once in a while, looks me up on LinkedIn, drives past my new home, and I don't even acknowledge her existence. I did fully apologize to her for ruining her reputation with her family, and thanked her dad for being a wonderful, strong man, and that this is not his fault. Then put it all behind me after our divorce was finalized. Shit happens, move on, life is great. Don't waste it with those who don't appreciate who you are, and those who lack understanding. The next story you'll hear will be about trying to trust your partner after getting involved with an ex who hurt them. Learn how to handle the situation and get advice on how to rebuild trust in your relationship. About 2 months into my partner and I relationship the first time, we started having the crazy ex talk. He started talking about his last GF who had cheated on him and had been broken up for around 8 months. I started to get a weird feeling about them when he said he was going to catch up with her for lunch while she was in town. The lunch didn't end up happening. One day we started talking about how, and I said how it made me uncomfortable that he wanted to see her after what she had done to him. He said he hasn't spoken to her after her trying to meet up. I had this weird feeling in my stomach, and I did something I always promised myself I wouldn't do. I looked at his phone when he was in the shower. I found a lot of text messages disrobing what they wanted to do to each other, sexually, and that they had been Snapchatting nudes to each other. I cried so much. I didn't know what to do. I was at his place and he away from mine. No car, no friend or family around. I took a pic of some of their conversation as I just couldn't believe it. I went into the shower after him as I was just speechless. I cried my eyes out for around 10 min. I go out and I confronted him. He must have sensed that I was worried about his relationship with the ex as he deleted all the messages. He said it was nothing, they haven't talked. When I showed him that I took pics of the convos, the truth came out. They had been doing it only for a week or so beforehand. I was shattered. I loved this man, and he could do something like this. I walked out. I walked to the closest train station and took the 2 HRA train home, rethinking everything that had happened only an hour ago. I did not speak to him for more than 8 weeks. He wrote me letters telling me how sorry he was and that he couldn't believe what he had done, and that the ex just had this hold over him. He told me that he blocked her from every social media and told her to never contact him again. For some reason, I forgave him. I looked past what he did because I loved him. I believed him that he would never ever do anything like that again. We have been back together for about 3 months when on the weekend we had been drinking, and he had told me he had a missed call from the ex. My heart sunk. I cried. I thought it was all happening over again. When I asked him if he had talked to her at all, he just shook his head but didn't say anything. I would really love some advice if possible. I can't talk to my friends about this as they hate him already because of what he did to me the first time. I just don't know if I believe that he hasn't spoken to her or that he is playing me. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you like it. Also put a bell so you don't miss new videos. See you soon.